And our next question today comes from Carmine Perrone from The Woodlands, Texas. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question, and thanks, Mr. Iger, for taking on this challenge that you agreed to in November and your work thus far and in the future. My question is, in the second quarter of last year, the company spent $1 billion to essentially buy back licensed content to stream exclusively on our properties. To your return, you've emphasized a focus on producing content for the DTC platforms, mainly from the core four, as I like to call them, and potentially licensing undifferentiated content from other owned studios and IP, or possibly producing new content for others out of these creative outlets. Could you share what content required the $1 billion last year, and whether we can expect any future revenue derived from producing content for others, and if so, when we might hear about this? And on a lighter note, if you could somehow swing getting the Marvel theme park rights east of the Mississippi back from Comcast during the Hulu negotiations, that would be great. Thanks.
Yes, I echo this shareholders sentiment. Right now,
the shareholder watches you. We know it.
See, okay, you know where I'm going, Alia. I don't mean to toot the horn of the channel too much, right? However, okay, I look at a lot of commentary stuff regarding the Walt Disney Company, both for, both against. If you want to say, I guess the derogatory term now is pixie dusters, right? Walt Disney World News Today. I mean, I see it all. I see it all. Okay, well, that's nothing wrong with that. Actually,
I admit it. I admit my bias.
We'll spread it. There you go. Right.
Thank you.
Okay. I see a lot of it. I have not seen anybody outside of this show say, hey, if you have Hulu, right, could you maybe get the Marvel rights back from Comcast? That they have that in the exclusive rights in Florida. Can we get that back in this trade agreement right here? I have not seen that anywhere but here. So
let's film rights of the Incredible Hulk, too.
That's right. Oh, yeah, and the Incredible Hulk and... Right, the theatrical rights for that for sure. Mm-hmm. OG, what do you think? I think people are listening.
Oh, I think people are definitely listening. Absolutely. So it's fascinating. My motto in life is too many coincidences aren't a coincidence. That's all I'm going to say.
I like it. Let's hear Bob Iger's thoughts here.
Thank you very much, Carmine. I like the second part of your question. We certainly would love to be able to do more with Marvel in our parks, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay, now he leaves it at that, right?
He could have ignored it too. He could have ignored it. So he wanted to put something out there for some kind of negotiation tactic with Comcast. He wanted it out there. He could have ignored it.
He could have ignored it, Alia, and I completely agree with you. He didn't say much, but what he did say was basically, wink, wink, stay tuned, was the energy I was getting from his comment. Now,
and he knew it would excite fans, so.
Exactly. I think there's talks right now. I think they're talking to Comcast about those Marvel theme park rights. And look, people say, well, why would Universal give up the Marvel theme park rights? Because they can't do anything with it. They can't. Disney's not going to okay them to build a new Marvel ride in Islands of Adventure. All Universal can do is repaint and refresh what they currently have. And does Universal want to be in that position with a dead end land that can't go anywhere? Probably not. They're probably going to want to move on from that and do something else eventually.
Their stuff.
Right. They got their own stuff. I mean, Universal's been doing, a lot of in-house stuff now. Their Minion movies are doing very well. The Nintendo stuff, obviously, that they're connected with has been doing very well. I mean, look, there's other stuff that Universal can now tap into. And I think that would be more beneficial to them, because with that stuff, they have more freedom in that park to add and expand, right? Marvel's dead end. So I think Iger's comment right there, I think they're definitely talking. Now,
I think
will
they're
it happen?
talking.
They're talking. Will it happen?
They're
Who
going
knows?
on a
But
date.
it's encouraging as hell.
Yeah,
They're courting right now.
They're courting. Yeah, I mean they're looking to get this deal
Robert's
done.
recording.
First date. I'm nervous.
Wizard, what do you think?
Oh, it could be cool
What do
if
you
they
think?
come to a nice agreement there. Oh, I'm trying to Hulu versus Marvel. That'd be quite nice. And yeah, Marvel Superhero Island looks very, was it like 90s comic booky, looks, I don't particularly like that style, but maybe some people do. But it looks like kind of old to me. So hey, I think it would be pretty cool if they come up with some agreement. Like I said, OG, they can use that area for some brand new thing that will be probably state of the art and much better than the Marvel Superhero Island they have right now. Disney can build a nice proper Avengers campus type land out in the acres and acres of space with their $17 billion that they want to spend over there. Maybe it's all connected. Maybe that is part of the 17 billion, and we'll hear about it later. You never know. You never know.
Here's the thing, one of the reasons why that Marvel e-ticket that was first conceptualized for Avengers Campus back in, I think I announced that like 2019 or something like that.
Yeah.
And we know that those plans have changed. One of the reasons why those plans could have changed is because, we can't really leverage this product much outside Anaheim. Now, there was going to be a version of that to come to Hong Kong, but maybe they want to limit investment there. So it's like, does this really make sense to really go forward with something like this? If you have Florida as an option where this attraction can go, now I would think it's definitely back on the table, right? Because you can leverage it across your properties in a way that you simply can't do now. And OG, I agree with you. I think they're not saying anything because, like we said before, they're courting and they don't want to give too much away so that those negotiations can't actually take place. But I thought Iger's continued comments regarding this question were interesting as well, going back to content for just a moment.
Regarding your first question, the primary shift that occurred in terms of licensing content to third parties came when we determined that the core strategy of the company going forward from a media's perspective would be and should be streaming. And in order to essentially achieve the goal of getting into the streaming business very successfully, we felt we had to take control back of the content that we had licensed to third parties. At that point, most of it was going to Netflix. And we actually enjoyed a good relationship with them over the time that we licensed content for them. But we licensed very valuable content we felt that we absolutely needed in order to launch streaming successfully. And that's exactly what happened. So the shift that you suggest from a financial perspective was so that we could get into the streaming business at a significant level, which we've actually done. And we're proud of our track record so far, although we realize that we have challenges ahead of us, namely to get to profitability. I don't think you'll see much of a change there. We're not looking to license our core Disney, Marvel, Pixar, or Star Wars product to third parties. We will consider on occasion licensing other content to third parties, but that will be part of the strategy that we deploy going forward in terms of our streaming business.
Here's an interesting thing. He said core stuff. So Lucasfilm, Marvel, Pixar, right? Mm-hmm. He said no on that. But he said other properties that they have, they'll consider licensing out. Mm-hmm. I think that, I was talking to Ali about this earlier, I think that signals the potential Hulu sale. Because what's on Hulu is a lot of this other stuff, like the FX and all that stuff. So that opens that door. If they sell Hulu to Comcast, well, then they're licensing out all that content on that platform. All the FX and Fox stuff is licensed out to Comcast. So I think that is a big tell right there. They're really working behind the scenes to sell Hulu. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Wizard, we actually just had a conversation about something like this in the form of Avatar: The Way of Water, right? We were both surprised how it was like, wow, okay, this movie's coming out to streaming or whatever, and yet Disney Plus wasn't actually involved. They used
only digital. You can only buy it. Back to the old ways. Very interesting.
Yeah, it wasn't just thrust on that all-you-can-eat platform, as they're fond of doing recently. It's like, oh, this got some legs, this got some demand, and maybe this doesn't necessarily fit in Disney core, right? But we can still kind of leverage it if we license it out. It's a very interesting strategy. Alia, what do you think?
I think with Avatar 2, Iger, it's a great way to experiment because it was such a huge hit with. If he changes the windows a bit with things of how much extra money they could acquire. So now it's digital sales. I don't think it's digital rental yet, but it's digital sales, and then it'll be hard copy. There is a rumor that they did pay Warner Brothers Discovery for exclusives because it's the last film.
I see.
And Iger's so glad that this is over. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was the last film that they had to share with HBO with that old Fox deal.
Ooh,
and there are rumors that Disney did pay Warner Brothers Discovery for exclusive streaming rights, but who knows? If that's true, we'll know in about a month or two or so. But if it's not true, then expect Iger to stretch it out to Top Gun Maverick ridiculous lengths, because he will not want HBO Max to hugely benefit from it, even though they do share it with Disney Plus.
They should do that still, even without, if they didn't have an HBO Max, and they should still do it. Because I mean, look at, I'll give you some recent movies, right? Puss in Boots 2, that's a good example. Puss in Boots 2, for a while, they're still in the top 10 in the theaters, but also number 1 on Apple iTunes and digital sales before it even got to Peacock. It was over there for like multiple weeks. Those and Megan too. Megan was in the top 10 in theatrical, but also in the top 10 on purchases at the same time. And then, like as Dre and I were talking, I'm sure was looking at them. It's like, wait a second, Avatar's a hot property. It also is still in the theaters, I think, in some theaters, but also number 1 on iTunes. Why not get some extra cash to just quickly put it on Disney Plus? Wait a little bit, because there's some money there you're leaving on the table. So I think it's a good thing Iger's going back to that way. You can get some extra Disney money there.
I think this extended windowing practice is very almost Zazzy-like, right, OG? I mean, it's a little bit like, hey, let's not just, throw our content onto theaters or just throw our content exclusively on a DTC. Let's take it out a little bit. And I like it. I like where we're going. And, if we just happen to get here by, happenstance because of these previous agreements, well, I think there is value in the data for maybe a future endeavors regarding
switching of things, yes, for future. But it was a great movie to experiment with that because it's so huge.
Yeah,
I agree.